Well, I wasn't actually planning on making a video this weekend, but I've been doing a bit of research to do like an environmental section in the magazine, and I came across a couple of things that really just sort of, I suppose, it kind of upset me really. And one of them was about the cleanup of a pharmaceutical plant, just one in Ireland. 5 years, 150 million euros already spent. And you just think, my God, 17,000 tons of polluted soil that has been taken away to the Netherlands and treated, and then I assume maybe returned, or I don't know, dumped there once it's finished with. Right, you think about Ireland, you say the success story, and one goes about, oh, Pharma, oh, isn't it great? All these pharma companies in Ireland, isn't it brilliant? Great, loads of jobs for the Irish. And there's all these young people going and studying pharmacology and pharmaceuticals, becoming pharmacists, becoming pharmaceutical chemists, etc. And thinking, great, I'm going to get in the gravy chain, I'm going to make a load of money, brilliant, yay, more money for Ireland. But people are not thinking about the actual impact that it has. There's recent studies come out in the last week or two, which people already knew about, which is, a lot of academics in America, especially Dr. Shana Swan being one of the top people on this area, who has said that basically it's making us sterile, all the pollution. So there's toxic pollution from plastics and petrochemicals, but also from pharmaceuticals, which are getting into our food supply, getting into our water, and it's making men especially sterile. And sperm counts continue to drop. It's also affecting women's ovulation as well, but more particularly men. And as you know, well, it takes a man and a woman to create a baby. You need a sperm and you need an egg. And you need somewhere for this fertilized egg to live in order to become a human being, which is obviously inside a woman's uterus. So, for that child to develop and gestate in the womb properly, it ideally wants an environment free of nasty chemical toxins. But, you think about all these companies here, right? There's a ton of pharmaceutical companies in Ireland, and they have very little regulation. The government is like, yay, give us the tax money. We're really happy. Just keep giving us the tax, and we'll just look over here. We'll look the other way, and we won't notice how you're completely fucking up our environment and destroying the fucking land for future generations of Irish people and whoever happens to be living here, whether they're Irish or not. They're going to suffer the same, just from all this pollution. So, as you can see from this one example, which is Roche's X facility in County Clare, that they closed down because they were unable to sell it. They then had to clean it up. Bloody hell, 150 million already, and it's not even finished, So how bad must it be? What kind of crap is in the soil there that, they've had to spend such a vast sum of money to clean it up so it could be used for something else? It's utterly shocking. And, people can be so blinkered, especially Ireland having been a poor country up until the 1990s, really. People got this sort of tunnel vision. Oh, the money, give us the money. Oh, that's great. Jobs, more money. But there's more to life than just fucking money. You cannot eat money. Money's not going to save you. You've got bloody cancer because of all the toxic food and toxic water you've been filling your body with. If you're drinking water that's polluted with Roundup, for a start off, from all the bloody farmers, then there's all the chemical residues from the pharmaceutical companies, the poor quality of the treatment, there's the fluoride added as well, and effluent. My God, what chance have we bloody got, So, people are like, yay, give us the jobs, yeah, more money. But, what about your health? What about the health of your children, your grandchildren, and future generations? What use is the money from, these big corporations going to be if we completely shagged our country to the point that parts of it are just actually unlivable because of the bloody pollution? It's so short-sighted, it's so stupid, and all this corruption is being covered up. Fianna Fáil, Fine Gael are totally complicit in covering up the extent of environmental pollution from the pharmaceutical industry. They don't care. They just want to go, shh, don't say anything, don't say anything. We want the tax money. We don't want the Americans to bugger off or the Swiss to bugger off or whatever. We need their money. We need their money. And yes, we shall sacrifice the future generations. We'll sacrifice our country and its soil and its water, its rivers, to the great god of fucking money, and fuck the population. Never mind them. We won't worry about our grandkids or great grandkids. We'll just then give everybody bloody cancer and whatever, and messed up intestines, etc. And we'll just take the money. Great, thank you. Thanks very much for all the money. Never mind that we're all shagged, and it's just so ridiculous. But Ireland's actually an incredibly corrupt country, but it's very well concealed. It all appears lovely and green on the surface, but actually it's just a septic, horrible mess of corruption, and backhanders and brown envelopes when you look underneath the surface. There's just so much corruption here. It's just awful, and the nepotism is unbelievable as well. So, yeah, I would like there to be a full-scale investigation into the horrific environmental degradation. I think our Environmental Protection Agency is sort of handcuffed, really. They're told not to go anywhere near bloody pharmaceutical companies because, no, that might damage our income, our tax intake. But then, perhaps if we hadn't ended up getting the country into such horrible debt by financing all these banks at the expense of ordinary taxpayers and people who dealt with the banks, people with mortgages or whatever, they should have been bailed out, not these huge banks. And so now we owe nearly 300 billion to various institutions, and so they just turned a blind eye to all this horrific pollution to get the tax revenue from mega corporations. And it's not just pharmaceuticals. Look at the likes of Apple. There's a huge amount of nasty chemicals used in electronics manufacture. And where do you think all that waste goes to? Where do you think it goes? It just gets dumped into the ground, or it's dumped into the rivers, and just, shh, don't say anything. We need the tax. We need the tax money. This is disgraceful. And most people don't know about this. They just don't know. I was not aware of how severe it was until very recently. I mean, I've known about, huge countries like America, where you've got little areas where there's massive contamination with, companies like DuPont or whoever. It's sort of isolated in small little pockets. And that's been very, very bad. But Ireland's a tiny country. It's tiny. It's a speck compared to somewhere like America. So we really can't afford to be screwing up our environment like this. It's so small, this country. We can't afford to sacrifice, sectors of our landscape given over to sort of turning it into Mordor. So anyway, there's a couple of links here in the description which give you a lot more information, including a TED talk and a sort of whole report into this DW. They did a very good expose, DW documentaries on Big Pharma and the amount of power that they have, because of course they have a huge amount of influence on our politicians and on the economy. So basically they hold our government over a barrel and they get away with whatever they want. But this has to change, in my opinion. This is part of the slow process of making people accountable and actually having good governance across the world. You know, these corporations have to be held accountable for what they do. They can't just be allowed to just wreck the world. And yeah, it's nice to have money, it's nice to have tax, but you know, just the basics of being alive are just being destroyed and ruined for countless people. Who knows the number of people who are becoming ill as a result of all these residues that are being dumped into our environment. I guess it will all come out in the wash eventually, but for many people it'll be too late. They'll already be ill with cancer or dead by the time the full truth comes out, and that really is rather sad. So you know, please spread the word about this, share this video, have a look at the videos in the links that I put under in the description, and you know, if this is kept quiet, nothing will be done. The more people complain, the more this information is spread, the more likely it is that something will actually happen and this will be stopped. Okay, that's it for now. Take it easy. Bye bye.